Hello, and welcome to Insurient training course. Sales theory and follow-up. Best practices. Effective selling starts with understanding human nature. Imagine you are from another planet, about to embark on a journey to Earth to meet this creature called humans. You are going to be given your current job when you arrive on Earth. And imagine I was your instructor, helping you prepare and understand about these humans and how to interact with them. There are 8 traits commonly shared amongst humans. After reading each topic, ask yourself, how does this knowledge impact my job? How can I use this knowledge in my approach? Number 1. Humans are disorganized. Humans are disorganized, don't respond, forget things and/or don't follow their calendar. So, for anything that is important to you, you must take the reins to lead and drive every step of the journey, otherwise, you are relying on them. Number 2. Humans don't like to say no. Because of this trait, humans often let relationships drag on. When not interested in pursuing or continuing a relationship, humans prefer to make either vague commitments, "we will talk soon," or become less responsive, via email, text, etc. Saying no is very uncomfortable for humans. So, if you want to know where you stand, you need to ask for more specific commitments, take the reins and see if they follow. If they don't, they are saying no, just politely. Number 3. Humans don't express how they feel or ask for help. We are a culture full of egos. When humans don't understand something and/or are unhappy with something or someone, they say nothing. It builds and builds and builds, and then we lose the relationship. So, what can we do? Simply never assume that no news means good news. Take the time to ask humans for feedback, otherwise you probably won't get any. Number 4. Humans don't like surprises. Surprises can create discomfort and will erode trust that has been established, because the customer feels they have lost control of the buying process. In both personal and business life, I, like you, would rather hear any type of news over no news at all. Be sure to proactively educate the customer on what is expected to come, and then keep your audience in the loop on all updates, good or bad. Number 5. Humans value those they perceive no more than they do. Humans often associate that when you take control of a relationship, drive every step and every agenda, you must know more than they do on the subject matter, even if untrue. In either case, when talking with humans, have the confidence to tell them what you recommend and why, what the next steps should be, discuss timelines, etc. When one human asserts the lead role in a relationship, the others often just follow. Number 6. Humans are risk-averse. Humans often make buying decisions, and will even pay more, for solutions that make them feel safe, i.e., whatever path they believe has the lowest risk, true or not, is irrelevant. This applies to every relationship, business and personal. Number 7. Humans want others to make their life easier. Ask yourself, for those companies or humans you would refer to your colleagues and friends, are you doing so because of the product or service you received or because of the total experience you had? But what constitutes a good experience? If you understand humans, you know the answer. And last but not least, number 8. Humans favor heart above head. Humans will typically choose and maintain relationships with people they like. If they like you, they will often associate you with being a good, smart and honest person, which may or may not be true. So, above all, in relationships, lead with your heart. Make a human connection every time you interact with someone. A sales rep's only role, creating trust. There is a never-ending sequence of tasks, milestones, steps, and processes that represent the day in the life of any sales rep, regardless of what you may sell, whether it's a product, service, consumable, or capital good, etc. Each offering will have a different sales cycle and audience. Some will require you being face-to-face while others are facilitated from the inside. But no matter what you sell, for every salesperson, especially when soliciting new customers, there is only one true role that governs what you do every day. You must create and maintain the right perception that your customer, or prospective customer, has of you. But why is their perception of you so important? Generally, based on human nature, most people are risk-averse. They will often choose to buy from, or even choose to pay more, from those they feel and perceive will meet their needs with the lowest amount of risk to them, and at a cost they deem reasonable. This is true whether you are selling them software, life insurance, computers, machinery, or even a lawn mowing service. An example of this would be the feeling people have towards a Mercedes-Benz. Very few of those wanting or considering buying this brand of car truly know that mechanically or structurally a Mercedes-Benz is better than a Kia. But, for most of us, our perception or belief is so strong, thanks to the marketing efforts, that we not only would prefer to buy a Mercedes, we would do so at a significant cost premium. Is that premium warranted? Few of us actually know, but most people defend their expensive brand name purchases as being better than the alternative because we want to believe to justify our decision. An even more relevant example would be a real estate agent, financial services advisor, or insurance broker. How is it that some agents make millions each year, while others barely break even? Is it because one knows more about insurance, mortgages, or stocks than the other? Or is it that one has a greater ability to create the perception of confidence and trust than the other? Ask yourself, are you assured your financial portfolio will deliver a higher return if you choose the planner who looks professional, arrives on time, and comes prepared? Will your real estate agent's great attitude and warm personality really increase your odds of finding the home of your dreams and at the right price? Does your insurance broker's persistence and level of organization mean they know more about what insurance product is best for you? The answer, maybe or maybe not. Simply put, the quality of their salesmanship has little bearing on the eventual outcome for the customer. They may be the best financial planner or they may not. They may find you the home of your dreams or they may not. They may have tremendous knowledge of what insurance options are best for you or they may not. Since we often cannot make a first-time buying decision knowing what the real result will be, what are we basing our decisions on? The answer goes back to how that salesperson made us feel during the buying process. All we know for sure is that the one who did get your business was better at creating the right impression and perception. Therefore, they were the better salesperson. What is also assured is that we, as the customer, will only truly know if the right decision was made afterwards, at which point the reality, not the perception, will show its face. If the results were, as advertised, the sales representative can expect the relationship to strengthen and future sales to come from that customer. If not, the relationship will end. So how do you create and influence their perception of you? The first step is to understand that there are 3 levels of trust that you, as a salesperson, can establish with your customer. The higher the trust, the greater your odds of winning the sale. Company trust that your customer has in the company you represent. The larger and more well-known the company is, the more this has already been and continues to be done for you via their history, reputation, marketing efforts, etc., e.g., Sony, Mercedes-Benz, IBM. The product, service, brand trust that your customer has in the products or services you represent. E.g., many customers are more likely to inherently trust Cheerios over a private label version. Personal trust that your customer has in you as a person. Now that you understand the different levels of trust, next is to realize that you as a salesperson can directly influence and have control over is building trust at the personal level. Remember, they likely would not have bought from your company the first time if not for how you made them feel throughout that initial buying process. As a result, the power to create that feeling is in your hands and, for any sales rep, this is their primary role. The second step is to ensure the perception you are trying to create is authentic. It must be truly who you are, otherwise it will not come through and is unsustainable. Next, ask yourself, what do I want my audience to think of me? What feeling and perception must I create for them to want to buy from me? How can I get them to believe I am knowledgeable about my product, service? Very trustworthy and reliable, a good listener? Empathetic, organized, committed, have their best interests in mind? A fair and honest person? Responsive, confident, in control, friendly and warm? Realize that you alone have the ability to directly influence their perception. Once you realize that, you will take great care, detail, and responsibility to plan your actions accordingly. This realization is what this entire module is about. This realization is power. It takes the onus away from factors you cannot control and puts them firmly on your shoulders. Certainly, good marketing material, a strong website, and a fancy presentation will help. But the best salespeople know that these tools are only there as support. Ultimately, success rests squarely in their own actions. Follow-up best practices. Follow-up best practices, Part 1. Where to start. Too many salespeople only think about their follow-up best practices when they are actually following up. The most effective salespeople know that the best way to avoid a follow-up from going cold is by setting good expectations of what is to happen next, before they hang up the phone during their first conversation with a prospect. 1. Understand the reason for the callback. Before you let them go, ensure you have established the reason they are holding back from making a decision, and do your best to overcome those objections. What questions do you have? And just so I'm on the same page, what's holding you back at this point? If you don't ask at this point, by the time you call them back they will have talked themselves out of it and will not want to share what initially had them feeling uncomfortable, because humans don't like to say no. 2. Collect feedback. What do they like? How comfortable are they with the discussed options? How does the price fit with their expectations? Do they see this as a viable option? If they don't like the options presented, why are you calling them back to begin with? Go back to the drawing board and find a better option before ending the call. 3. Establish decision-making process and criteria. What needs to happen between the time you call them back? Who do they need to speak to? When will they see that person? What information will they need to make a decision? How much time do they need to review what you are sending them? 4. Agree on a follow-up time. After determining their decision-making process, get them to agree to speaking with you again. Be as precise as possible. If they aren't sure of their schedule to book a meeting time, use questions to drill down high-probability times to reach them. Here are some good examples. Example 1. We connected today at 3 p.m. Is this normally a good time for you? Example 2. You mentioned needing 48 hours to review the material I'm sending, so if I called you on Wednesday, assuming today is a Monday, is there anything you can think of that would prevent me from reaching you? Any standard appointments or events that may keep you tied up on those days? 5. Log notes in CRM. This way you remember what was discussed when you call them back. Include details about goals, concerns, health specifics, coverage details, options discussed, family members' names, next steps, etc. Let's recap. 1. Understand the reason for the callback. 2. Collect feedback. 3. Establish decision-making process and criteria. 4. Agree on a follow-up time. 5. Log notes. Follow-up best practices, Part 2. On the follow-up call. 1. Call the customer when you said you would. If you get their voicemail, leave a message informing them that you called like you said you would, and that they can reach you at insert phone number, otherwise you'll try them back again later within time. On the follow-up call. 2. If you make contact with your prospect, introduce yourself including a reminder of when you spoke to them last. What was discussed, including what were their goals of having insurance, what solution was provided to meet those goals, etc., what was supposed to take place between speaking with them. And then ask an open-ended question. How did things go? What thoughts did they have since last speaking? Try to get them talking. On every follow-up call that you make contact, if you aren't getting your decision from the customer, your goal is to advance the sale. This means if you've called them back and they've done nothing, don't just give them more time. Did they not review what you sent them? Ask if they can go to their computer right now and pull it up so you can show them what you included. Use this as a chance to re-walk them through the discussed options, and get some more feedback into their interest level. Not near the computer and been a few days since sending? Resend so it's on top of their inbox and they don't have to search for it. Did they not speak to their spouse as planned? Suggest finding a time where you can connect with the both of them, so that you can give the spouse an abbreviated walkthrough of what you discussed the first time. Since they will likely have questions, you can answer those questions on the spot to make sure everyone is on the same page. On every follow-up call that you make contact, if you aren't getting your decision from the customer, your goal is to advance the sale. This means if you've called them back and they've done nothing, don't just give them more time. It's up to you to find how you can be involved in helping them make a decision. Leaving it to the customer to make a decision takes you out of the driver's seat and you will lose control of your follow-ups. When the customer is complacent and you're not sure how to advance the sale, clarify the cost of doing nothing, because at the end of the day, there is a risk that comes with not moving forward. Should they spend the money required to know their bases are covered, or continue to not invest in their future and to not have the peace of mind that their family is covered? Let's recap. 1. Call the customer back when you said you would. 2. If you make contact with your prospect, introduce yourself including a reminder of when you spoke to them last. What was discussed? What was supposed to take place between speaking with them? Negotiating insurance options. Call flow. Present price and trial close. 1. When presenting the price, also reconfirm the amount of coverage you are quoting. The first option you've qualified for is $25,000 of coverage, and that is just $102.50 a month. Did you get that? Okay, great. Now let's go over the second option, which is for $20,000 of coverage. and that is only $72 per month. And the third option is for $17,000 of coverage, and that is only $60 per month. So tell me, client name, which option would you want? Beneficiary name, to receive when that day comes. A check for $25,000, a check for $20,000, or a check for $17,000? Pause and wait for a response. If customer chooses a plan, great, that's the check amount a lot of people have been picking for their loved ones. Go ahead and circle the one you just chose. If customer does not choose a plan, okay, client name, no problem. What's most important here is to make this really simple for you. Let's go with the lowest option because that's the most affordable one. After all, client name, your biggest concern is that we put this protection in place for beneficiary name and take this heavy burden off your shoulders. And when you're ready to add more coverage or make any changes, I will always be here to help you with that. The last thing you would want to happen to you is that you get sick or hurt or even worse die without this protection, so let's go ahead circle the smallest option there. If still unsure of customer's comfort level with the lowest price, ask trial close questions. What are your thoughts on that? How does that sound? How does that work for you? If customer expresses the price is too high, determine the budget required. What budget are you trying to stick to? What is the monthly amount you are trying to keep things under? If the price is too high, get a price from them. What budget are you trying to stick to? Is there a monthly amount you are trying to keep things under? What would be an amount that you feel you could afford every month? What number did you have in your head, where you said, if it was this much, I'd want to sign up, when you filled out the request for quote? How far off are we? Are we in the same ballpark? Or are we in different cities altogether? If the price is too high, challenge their needs. Can they get by on less coverage than planned? What's more important, leaving gifts or ensuring no debts or bills are left behind to be paid? How much is required for a cremation versus burial? Is some coverage better than no coverage? Spoiler alert, yes, it is. Negotiation key takeaways. 1. Unsure of the client's interest level? Ask trial closes to gauge comfort based on the prices delivered already. 2. Price seems too high? Get a budget from the customer. Don't give up on the first time asking. 3. Unable to establish budget? Bring price down with logical reductions of coverage amount that will still protect the customer's goals. Example with burial equals $25,000, $20,000, $15,000, $12,000. Example 2 with cremation equals $15,000, $10,000, $5,000, $3,000. Objection handling best practices. Here are the 4 key steps of effective objection handling. 1. Listen. Make sure the prospective customer has a chance to fully vent or express their concerns. Too often a salesperson will jump in to solve the problem, however the customer can still feel like they aren't being listened to, which erodes trust. 2. Align plus agree. When the objection is clear, use a softening statement, and repeat back the objection to confirm the concern and that you are on the same page of what the objection is. This ensures you are addressing the correct objection, while also building trust with the customer by showcasing your listening skills. I hear where you're coming from, and it sounds to me like you're concerned about blank. Is that right? Regarding what you've mentioned about blank, I've actually had other clients concerned about that as well. I know how you feel, as objection is a common concern. 2. Align plus agree. When the objection is not clear, if you are not completely sure what the objection is and unable to agree or align yourself immediately, or it seems like a false objection, ask questions to identify the specific concern or their general situation. Remember, people often use objections to deflect from making a decision, despite not being their real concern. Clarifying example. If client says, "I'm not interested," as soon as we get them on the phone, asking, "What coverage do you already have in place?" can help establish if the objection is because they have coverage, or some other factor holding back their curiosity. False objection example. Client says they want to think about it right after hearing the price. By asking, "How comfortable are you with the price?" if the customer says they are not comfortable, then we know the issue is not needing to think about it, it's the price itself. 3. Address. This is where we deliver our rebuttal to overcome the objection. The goal is to provide a logical response that either alleviates their concern, positions us to solve the problem, or creates a value that indicates the customer's need for us. Use storytelling. How you helped a client with similar concerns. Speak to the process. Explain why something is what it is, just don't say that. Examples. They're concerned about deferred periods. This is an industry standard to non-medical coverage, or are surprised about costs, age, health, and smoking status are deciding factors for the insurance industry as a whole, not just us. Remind them of the consequence of doing nothing. By putting off the decision, they aren't safeguarded. There is a risk of rates having increased when they try to reapply. Or worse, something fatal happening and not having any coverage. The cost of these issues down the road far outweigh the costs of getting peace of mind now. 3.5 Trial close. Use this as a temperature check to make sure your argument landed. Ask low-risk questions like, does that make sense? Do you hear where I'm coming from? Do you see why that solves the issue of underscore? Does that work for you? What are your thoughts on that? If the customer is not in agreement, be persistent, come back with another response or paraphrasing your previous statement. Sometimes it will take multiple tries for something to stick with them. 4. Assume the sale. Your logical response has won the debate, so continue moving things forward from where you left off. Examples. If the objection came up when you were collecting info, ask right away for that information again. If the objection came up after a price objection, handle the objection and proactively negotiate accordingly. If the objection came up during the completion of the application, continue finishing the application. Now, let's recap. 1. Listen. 2. Align and agree. Use empathy. 3. Address. Overcome. 3.5 Trial close. Temperature check. 4. Assume the sale. Move forward. Important things to remember. Tone is important. You need to deliver your rebuttals with confidence. Sounding unsure of your answers, or sounding frustrated at the objections, questions being thrown at you, will lose trust points from your customer. Vocal pace is also important. You need to make sure you're speaking slow enough so that they truly understand your reasoning for overcoming their objection. Ask for the business. If you're past the pricing discussions, now you need to close them. Move the sale forward. Here are some examples. I'm not interested, if said immediately. Have you signed up for insurance coverage since making the inquiry on our website? If no, well then allow me to ask you a few questions so I can provide you with a quote. This way you at least know what's available. Continue where you left off. DOB, discovery questions, etc. If yes, I could provide some quotes to make sure that you're getting the best deal and the right coverage for your needs. Allow me to ask ____. Continue where you left off. DOB, discovery questions, etc. I already have life insurance. That's great to hear you've taken the steps in finding some protection for your family. Is that a permanent policy or a term policy that will renew? How much coverage is that policy providing? If permanent, one thing a lot of people don't know is that unlike other types of insurance, you can actually have more than one life insurance policy. In fact, due to rising burial costs, I highly recommend it to ensure you have enough money set aside to cover your final expenses and also leave something behind for your family as well. Transition back on script. If term, I'm glad to hear you have something in place, but the biggest challenge you'll face with your current policy is that it expires. If you outlive your policy, you'll find yourself in a position of having to find new insurance at an advanced age. This means insurance will be more expensive and more difficult to be approved. The good news is that the policies that we'll explore today are permanent, which means they never expire and you'll have coverage for the rest of your life. Transition back on script. I was just looking for free services, phone, prescriptions, groceries, etc. Absolutely, and all of that is already in the process of being sent to the address on file. However, you also stated that you were interested in whole life insurance, and that is what I am here to help you with. Transition back on script. I was just looking for free services, phone, prescriptions, groceries, etc. If they say, send me an email options, when said early, before doing discovery, pitching. You can reply, we can definitely send you an email, but I just need to first ask you a few questions to figure out which plan you're qualified for, then, transition back on script. Is this some other competitor? We're not, insert company name. We're the insurance supermarket. Were you looking for life insurance quotes? I can help you out with that, or the more detailed rebuttal. You may have accidentally found us through the Google ads when searching for, insert company name. I do have some very competitive life insurance products that are much more lenient than traditional insurance underwriting. I'd suggest we can see if this might actually be a better option for you to consider as well, as it's always good to know all your options. Fair enough? I expected to get the quote online. Insurance isn't a one-size-fits-all product. So when companies give prices online without understanding the specifics of the client, your quotes won't be accurate, and that creates a bad customer experience when you go to sign up, as the price usually ends up being higher than what you saw online. So we like to have a quick phone call just to make sure we're offering something that you'll be able to qualify for. So I can definitely get you some quotes, but allow me to first ask, what was your motivation in looking for life insurance? Begin discovery. I'm not comfortable answering that. Health questions. We only need to ask a few questions over the phone. There's no medical tests or exams. This makes sure that we can find a coverage option for you, but also helps get you the best rates possible. Are there any specific medical concerns you are worried about? Can you mail this info out to me? When said after price presentation, since COVID, we don't mail out anything given how many hands it would go through before making it to your mailbox. We can email you the information, but the hardest part is getting you qualified for this coverage. So what I suggest is getting the application done to see if we can get you set up for this coverage, and then I can email all the information over to you, including a copy of your application for your files. I want to think about it. Ask these questions sequentially. 1. What questions do you have currently? 2. How comfortable are you with the month price point of $__? If they don't seem entirely comfortable, ask, what amount are you looking to keep things under for budgeting purposes? If they do seem comfortable, ask, and how comfortable are you with the discussed $___ coverage amount? 3. Typically when someone tells me that they like the coverage and are comfortable with the price, the next thing they say is, how do we get started? Just to make sure I'm on the same page or can help with any concerns, allow me to ask, what's holding you back at this point? Too expensive. Via the 3-step process, use as needed, speaking to the process, educate customer. 1. Insurance rates are based around a few things like age, sex, and health status. Admittedly, your rates 10 to 20 years ago would be much lower than they are today, just as today's rates will be much lower than even if you waited another 5 years before getting covered. While I understand that $X is more than you may have anticipated, I can confidently say these are competitive rates. 2. Using clarifying questions, negotiate with customer. That said, I want to make sure we can find a coverage that meets your needs, but is also a comfortable monthly price point for you to pay each month. Was there an amount that you were looking to keep the monthly payment under for budgeting purposes? 3. Speaking to the consequence of doing nothing, overcome customer. What's a greater risk? Spending the $by per month to have the coverage you need to protect your family from having to take on those final expenses, or not spending the $X and having to find the funds elsewhere for the funeral? Alternative, too expensive. Rebuttal. We hear this often, but earlier you said that you need insurance to protect ______. And we know that some insurance is better than no insurance, so what I suggest is looking at something a little more affordable, and when things become more comfortable for you down the road, we can always add more coverage if needed. I want to speak to my spouse. Ask these questions sequentially. 1. What questions do you have currently? 2. How comfortable are you with the month price point of $___? If they don't seem entirely comfortable, ask, what amount are you looking to keep things under for budgeting purposes? If they do seem comfortable, ask, and how comfortable are you with the discussed $___ coverage amount? 3. So if this was your decision alone, how comfortable would you be with the options we discussed? I want to speak with my children. Are they aware you're looking into this life insurance? And they are in agreement with you getting this, is that correct? Is it up to them how much the budget is, or is that up to you? In that case, let me tell you what I suggest we should do, as I do this for a living. I know when people call and tell me that they are looking to protect their children, those children are really going to appreciate that. And we want to get this done for you now, so that nothing else happens, because as you know, no one is guaranteed for tomorrow. We never know what is going to happen. And 24 hours can make a difference. I've seen it happen over and over again. So it makes sense for us to go ahead and get this done for you, so you know you'll have the kids protected. You know you can afford it. And all we need to do to provide that protection is an application over the phone. You won't need any doctor's visits or medical tests. We just answer a few health questions over the phone and we can get you approved. This way, once you've actually been approved, you can simply walk your kids through the need-to-know information with the actual policy having everything they'll need. Still want to wait? Part 1. You and I can both wait, but life waits for no one. Use a storytelling example of someone who waited, but then had a heart attack and was not able to get approved for coverage later when they called us back. Part 2. What's a greater risk? Spending the dollar buy per month to have the coverage you need to protect your family from having to take on those final expenses, or not spending the dollar X and having to find the funds elsewhere for the required costs. Alternative, additional rebuttal. Even if you're lucky and just get injured or ill, that can still affect your ability to get coverage. You might not qualify for this plan later on. And, you won't fix this issue by avoiding the problem. The solution is to get started with a plan sooner rather than later. Let's go ahead and take this plan out, start it next month, and then you can relax. Let me talk to my lawyer, accountant. Why don't we do this? I also think it's important that you talk to your accountant or lawyer and provide them with accurate information so they can help you make the right decision. In the meantime, what we have here is simply a proposal. At this time, I can't even guarantee that you'll qualify until we complete the process. Here's my proposition. But if you're serious about getting insurance and honestly want an accurate opinion from your accountant or lawyer, we must qualify you first. How can I trust your company? Insurient Inc., our parent company, has been in business since 2020. As an independent insurance agency, we work with a wide variety of the top carriers to help you find the best coverage to suit your exact situation. These companies have issued over $10 billion of insured individual death benefits, and have an A+ ratings on the Better Business Bureau. The coverage that is underwritten by these companies have been in business since the beginning of the 1900s. They have, a combined, over 110 years in the insurance industry, so you can be sure that you're working with companies who are trustworthy and established. I'll put my money in the bank. The challenge with doing that is once your family needs access to that money, they'll have to deal with red tape like power of attorney and paying estate taxes. With life insurance, your family gets the entire $_ amount of coverage paid out quickly and tax-free so that they can pay for the final expenses required without any hassle or delay. Why'd I need to give my SSN? Quote, insurance is a highly regulated industry and we'll need the social security number for verifying who you are to ensure the payments are made to your beneficiary at the time of your death. I want to use credit card for payment. Mr. Per megasecond, blank, I know you mentioned earlier that you'd likely want to pay with a credit card. One thing to note is that with credit cards, the expiration date changes every few years, and when that happens, we'd have to get the new information for you to retain your coverage. Is there any chance we can use your bank account and routing number rather than a credit card, just to make sure there's less risk of running into an issues down the road?